Good morning, LCC kids. It is June 7th. I know the tropical storm was hitting this weekend, so hopefully everybody is safe as well. But summer's here, and I bet you're excited about that. And what that probably means for you is no more school, no more tests that you have to take. But we're going to actually start off our time today with a quick test. Don't worry, it's not too difficult. It's testing your knowledge of emojis and of movie titles. And so here's what's going to happen. There are going to be some emojis scrolling across the screen, and it might help for you to say them out loud and see if you can figure out what movie those emojis are describing. Now I have with me today, Mr. Stephen Mackey's joining us in studio. He's going to be doing the voiceover for this game. So take it away, Mr. Stephen.
All right, let's see that movie knowledge. First up, let's see what emojis. All right, so it looks like we got, I think that's a spider and a boy, maybe a man. There we go, Spider-Man. All right, if you got that, you get a point. You're 1 for 1. Let's spin that thing again. All right, so we got a cat, maybe a lion, and some kind of crown. I guess the King of Lions would wear a crown. Lion King. If you got Lion King, you now got another point. You're 2 for 2. Let's see if you can go 3 for 3 even. All right, a gold star and some swords clashing. Star, and when do swords clash? Maybe a war, Star Wars. If you got that, you are a movie genius. Let's move on to a little bit of a harder one. That's a lot of emojis. They might even give us the whole movie. All right, we have what looks like a girl, a grandma maybe. This girl has now got a crown on, I think. There's a mouse, a horse, a clock. There's only one story I know with all these elements. Let's see if you know it. The answer is Cinderella. If you got that one right, you are for real a genius.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen. Now, if you would like to see and hear from more of Mr. Stephen in these videos, just text Stephen Mackey ! To 555. No, don't really do that. That's not a number. All right, well, we are going to encounter somebody today in our story who experiences a test. And it's who we met last week. Today's title is Abraham's Test. And this comes from story number 14 in our Gospel Story Bible. And the first thing to pay attention to here is that the Lord tests. The Lord tests his people. And here, Abraham, he received the promise from God, not only that he would have a son in his old age, but that he would have a big family, that he would have many, many descendants, that his family would become an entire nation that God would bless. But you know what? God came and promised that. And Abraham waited, and he waited, and he waited 25 years before Isaac was born. Sometimes we have trouble waiting 25 minutes or 25 seconds for something. But then Isaac's there, and it's such a happy day, and he's growing up, and he's becoming a young man, and Abraham's teaching him all that he needs to know in order to do life. But then God comes to Abraham and says this. In Genesis 22, verse 1, after these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. He said, take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. Could you imagine if God came to you and if he said, hey, your favorite toy or your favorite video game or maybe even your favorite pet, I'm asking for you to give that back to me. How would you feel? Or what if God said this? You know what? Whatever you want, you can have it. Whatever you want in this world, I'll give it to you, but you can't have me. How would you choose if God did that? God is coming to Abraham and he's giving him this test. And it's a confusing test. It is. I bet Abraham was confused here. But it was the love of God helping him to see that God, who is the greatest joy, who is the one that we need, nothing in this life can compare with the worth of having him. And God wants to make sure for Abraham that God is first on Abraham's heart and nothing else. But Abraham has to trust God here because it looks like what God's asking Abraham to do is to kill the promise that God had made to him, that through Isaac he would have a great nation come. But God is worthy of being trusted. And what this test reveals, it shows what's in the heart of Abraham. It says this in verse 12, God says, "Now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." Now I know. I mean, didn't God already know? Yes, God knew everything that was in Abraham's heart, and he knows the end from the beginning. But right now, in this moment, in real time, it's shown, it's proven that Abraham loves the Lord his God with all of his heart, soul, mind, and strength, and is willing to obey God in whatever he would ask. Now, God knows everything that has ever taken place and ever will happen. That's how awesome he is. Sometimes we try to figure out what's going to take place, but we don't know the future. Let's see if you can predict what's going to happen in a classic game of rock, paper, scissors. What do you predict? What's going to win? Go ahead and take it away, Mr. Stephen.
All right, we're going to be playing a game called Paper, Rock, Scissors, the very close cousin of rock, paper, scissors. So, I'm going to tell you to rock, paper, scissors, shoe, and you're going to see the computer give you an answer here, and I'll tell you if you won or if you lost. So let's get going. Rock, paper, scissors, shoe. All right, it's scissors. So if you're a rock, you're a winner. Now, if you're a paper or if you put scissors, I'm sorry to inform you that you're a loser. All right, let's try again. Round 2. Rock, paper, scissors, shoe. Ooh, rock is up. So if you were paper, you win. Now, if you were scissors or if you put rock, you lost. Anyone 2 for 2 right now? Any rock, paper, scissors champions yet? Let's see. Let's go one more. Let's do rock, paper, scissors, shoe. Look at that, paper. Now, if you put scissors, you are a winner. Now, if you put rock or paper, you're a loser. I'm sorry. I hope someone out there went 3 for 3 and can claim themselves as champion.
Thanks, Mr. Stephen, for telling the kids out there that they're losers. That's definitely the message we want to be spreading at LCC Kids. All right, so we have seen the Lord tests, and our second point to notice is that the Lord provides. So Abraham takes his son, he takes the wood for the sacrificial offering and puts it on the back of his son, and together they go up the mountain of Moriah, and it says that Abraham saw the place from afar, and that word see shows up a lot in this story. And then Isaac sees something. He says, Dad, I see here the mountain, I see the wood, I see the place of the offering. I don't see a lamb for sacrifice. I don't see that there. And God tells Isaac, Abraham tells Isaac this: the Lord will see to it. The Lord will provide. That's the same word there in Hebrew. God will see to it. He will provide a sacrifice. He will provide an offering. And Abraham was convinced of this. In fact, it says that in verse 5, Abraham said to his servant, "Sit yourself here with the donkey. I and the boy will indeed go as far as there, and we will worship, and we will indeed return to you." Abraham knew, I'm going up this mountain with Isaac, and I'm coming back down the mountain with Isaac, because God's promise will be true. He didn't know how it would happen. He didn't know maybe if my son dies, God could even raise him from the dead. But he trusted God and his word. And here's what happened. God provided more than could ever be asked for. In verse 14, Abraham raised his eyes and he saw something. There was a ram behind, caught in a thicket by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him as a sacrifice instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place, "The Lord will see to it." What it says today, on the mountain of the Lord, it will be provided. And one of the names of God in the Bible is Yahweh Yireh. And you can see what that name looks like here in Hebrew. Yahweh Yireh. The Lord provides, or the Lord will see to it. God provided. Not just the promise, not just an answer to Abraham's trust, but he provided a ram caught in the thorns to be sacrificed instead of Isaac. And do you know what? 2,000 years after this event happened, 2,000 years ago from where we are today, another one and only son walked up a mountain carrying wood on his back with his head caught in thorns, and he was offered up as a sacrifice instead of you and me and what our sins deserved. And of course, we're talking about the ultimate promised one, Jesus Christ, who died and was raised back from the dead in our place so that we could be with God forever and so that we would know the love of God. I love the way that this smart guy, Timothy Keller, puts it. He says, God saw Abraham's sacrifice and said, "Now I know that you love me because you did not withhold your only son from me." But how much more can we look at his sacrifice on the cross and say to God, "Now we know that you love us, for you did not withhold your son, your only son, whom you love from us." What a clear picture of the love of God, not just in providing a ram, but in providing his son in our place. And so we can trust him. We can trust him in what we can see and even in what we can't see. And we can obey him in all that he asks us to do, knowing he will be faithful, knowing he will provide, and he's provided what we needed most, which was Jesus. Well, kids, it's been fun learning this story, this real event together, and seeing how amazing our God is. We always want to see God. We always want to see Jesus on every page of the Bible. And we'll do that again next Sunday. And stay tuned. We have some really exciting news that we're going to be announcing coming your way. All right, see you next time.